Good day everyone. For today's video, we are going to discuss the topic 6 valet and butler services with my co-groups Miss Christine Maputi and Miss Kathleen Villacruel. Intended learning outcomes. Discuss basic role of valet and butler service. Establish rapport and enhance feelings of goodwill between the guest and the establishment through principles of good communication in accordance with establishment standards. Practice good grooming and personal hygiene expected from a valet service provider. Demonstrate the use of cleaning procedures, ensuring the standards of cleanliness, sanitation, and safety are complied with, and simulate the proper procedures in window cleaning, sanitizing, and cleaning toilet bowls and bathroom, brush and polishing procedures. Alright, let's start to define what is a butler. So, from the word butler, what comes to your mind? So, butler, it is the chief male servant of a household and usually in charge of serving food and the care of silverware and etc. And also, it is a male servant having charge of the wines and liquors. The butler services. So, valet is also known by some as a butler. In older times, they were also called manservants and or gentlemen's gentlemen. So, ang pangutana, naabay female butlers? Yes, women today also provide valet services. So, female butler is also called a housekeeper. So, di ba, a butler is usually male and in charge of male servants, while a housekeeper is usually a woman and in charge of female servants. But there are highly skilled female butlers who are trained to perform the tasks traditionally reserved for males. So, not every venue will offer valet services. So, usually, higher class or 5-star venues. So, many overseas guests expect valet service, especially where they use them regularly in other countries. So, use of valets not only provides genuine services to guests, but also adds an in first class style, elegance, indulgence, and wealth. So, valet services may be paid for by the guest on an hourly or daily basis, or they may be provided to VIP guests. So, ang valet services are not common and certainly not all establishments provided valet services. So, next is describe the services delivered by a valet. So, first is housekeeper. So, performing a range of services normally provided by room attendants in other rooms. So, you can also provide as a valet, you can also provide as a housekeeper. So, kanang normally gi-provide sa mga room attendants like kanang maglimpyo sa rooms, you can also kanang mubuhat sad ka ana. And then confident, so being a trusted person who the guest can confide in when they need to talk or share an idea, experience or opinion. So meaning dapat ikaw kung ang guest gani ganahan makig storya nimo na sharing ideas and opinions, so dapat kung unsay ang gisulti kanang dili na siya dapat nimo ipanabi sa lain, then kanang ikaw ra jud dapat makahibaw ana. Then guide, so informing the guest of what is available both within and outside the venue. So when it is available, how to get there and how to obtain entry tickets, preferential treatment. So dapat bugayad sad ka sa guest kung example gi sugo or kanang na siya pangutanan nimo kung kanang unsa orasa ang kanang mag-open sa restaurant, sa gym, sa spa, sa tanan dapat mo inform ka sa guest nga mauna siya, mauna diri. So kanang if you get preferential treatment, you are treated better than other people and therefore have an advantage over them. And concierge, so while all valet work together with the concierge in a venue, so many valet often take the role of concierge for the guest they are looking after. So as a kanang valet, so unsay mga kanang service nga gi-provide sa concierge, so pwede sa nimo ma-provide sa mga guest like kanang arrange spa services, kanang guides ka sa ilang mga luggage ana, dapat kanang mabuhat ra, pwede ra sa nimo siya buhaton. So next is organizer. So arranging things on behalf of and under the directions of the guest. So like reservations, tickets to shows, entry to events, meetings with people, or daily schedules. So ikaw sad mo organize sa ilahang kanang mo manage sa ilahang mga meetings or kanang naabay mga event sa ilang ticket, reservation. So ikaw mo mag-organize para sa ilaha. And then supervisor, so overseeing the work of other people who provide products and services to the guests, so venue employees and outside contractors or workers. So dapat kanang mo supervisor ka sa ilaha, dili kay ikaw kanang valet service ra ka maorasan imong trabaho, so pwede sad ka motabang sa ilaha. And then guest relations, so ensuring the guest has a pleasant stay in the venue, ensuring their expectations are met and dealing with any problems that arise during the stay. So dapat makipag kanang nasad kay good relationship towards your guest para ang imuhang guest magbalik-balik, masatisfy ang iyahang pagstay sa venue or sa hotel. So next is valet duties can include first, communicating with guests and their party. So communicating with guests is very important in order to obtain the guest needs and wants. Then unpacking and storing guest luggage. So kung maabot ang guest, so i-unpack nimo ilang mga gamit like ilang mga sinina, then i-store nimo sa sakto nga butanghanan sa ilang mga luggage. And next is preparing clothes and footwear. So imo sa na iandam ang ilang mga sinina nga kanang example na sila meeting or kanang sa ilang sulubon ana, dapat imo sa na i-prepare. Then ironing of items, so ilang mga sinina kay syempre kanang nakumot na siya sa luggage, so dapat imo sa na silang kanang iron. Monitoring the provision of establishment services to the guest both in room and throughout the venue. So this may include arranging and supervising the provision like delivery and service of room service for meals, snacks, parties, drinks. So sila ang mag-arrange o mag-supervise when it comes to delivery of service like foods, sa ilang meals, snacks, parties, and drinks. So next is organization and implementation of functions for the guests in the room or in a function room at a venue. Next is recording services that have been delivered for quality control and accounting procedures. Next is preparing rooms before guests arrive by providing various items such as fruit bowls, complimentary gifts, bathrobes, chocolates, or flowers. Kanang mga ipanghanda nimo before ang guest mo arrive, so para sa sila maganahan ug masatisfy sila sa ilahang pagstay sa venue. So mao ni sila kanang magbutang baka mga fruit bowls, so complimentary gifts or bathrobes and chocolates or flowers. The last is looking after guest laundry and dry cleaning needs on an ongoing basis for the duration of their stay. So sila sad ang mag-serve aning kanang sa guest laundry and dry cleaning kanang mga nilabhan. So the duties of a valet, explaining prior to guest arrival that the valet must. So investigate background information and knowledge about guest preferences and previous history with the establishment. So dapat mag-background check pa ka sa guest. Then kanang take action to ensure promises made to the guest and guest expectations are met when the guest arrives. So igabot sa guest, imo sa siyang sultian kung unsay kanang mga services nga imong ma-provide sa ilaha para masatisfy sila sa pagstay nila sa hotel. As a valet nga ma-explain mo pag maayo ang mga facilities nga gi-provide sa hotel. And the duties of a valet, explaining before and on departure of a valet service guest that the valet must record and process guest charges and accounts for billing and payment. And the valet must assist in the maintenance of guest history files to provide relevant and up-to-date information about the guest or VIP. And the valet must debrief with management to identify lessons learned, determine changes needing to be made to SOPs, and whether or not management needs to contact the guest to make an apology. So next is locate the position of valet within the enterprise. So the location of the position of valet within a venue, stating it varies between properties. Most locate it within housekeeping, reporting to the executive housekeeper or manager room. So under sila sa housekeeping, then mo report sila sa executive, housekeeper, or manager rooms. And then they are a front of house member of staff, and they are not a back of house staff who work behind the scenes. So meaning wala sila sa offices. And next is they are a guest contact staff member as opposed to a management or administration. So sila ang unang makontak sa staff member as opposed to management or administration. And then they are a service provider. While they perform some liaison and supervision duties, their primary role is one of service provision. So mao ni ilang primary role is service provision. And then many businesswomen who travel on a regular basis will request a female valet as they feel more comfortable working with another female, and also feel it is more appropriate than working closely and privately with an unknown male. So ang guest nimo or VIP guest nimo is female, so ang ilaha sad i-choose is female sad nga butler or valet, kay kanang mas comfortable man sila nga mao ilahang kauban kaysa lalaki. So the interactions in the workplace of a valet may have educating the valet may liaise with sales and marketing concerning VIP guests arriving and to advise them of needs, wants, and preferences of VIPs, liaise with front office and concierge to deliver products and services as required by the guest, liaise with food and beverage, kitchen and function, banking departments to ensure special food, drink, catering, and event needs are provided by, be involved in middle-level management meetings to enable the identified needs, wants, and preferences of VIP guests to be met, discuss and initiate required security protocols for certain guests, and facilitate venue-wide organizational and operational arrangements to support a VIP stay. Next is valet employment options include. So full-time valet. So this is not common except at 5-star and 6-star facilities because generally speaking, there is insufficient work to warrant their employment on a permanent ongoing basis. So ang full-time valet is dili ni siya common except lang sa mga 5-star and 6-star facilities. Kaya nga no, kanang dili siya insufficient so trabaho to warrant their employment on a permanent ongoing basis. And then next is part-time valet. So this is a relatively common. So ang part-time, so common ni siya kay the person works as a valet when required and perform another roles such as room service attendant, porter, or laundry attendant within the venue when there is no demand for a valet. So wages per hour are usually higher for a valet than for other lower level duties. So mao natawag siya part-time valet kay pwede man ni siya mahimo siyang room service attendant or porter or laundry attendant, kay ang iyahang regular ng wages per hour is usually higher for a valet than for other lower level duties. And then casual, so the venue hires valet as required, so paying them on an hourly basis, choosing employees from a known pool of professionals. So ang kaning casual, so mao ni sila ang kanang sweldo nila is hourly basis na sila kanang kada oras ba. And then outsourcing, so where the service of an external provider specializing in the provision of hospitality professionals is used. So this option is gaining in popularity amongst employers where such a service is locally available. And next is identify the personal characteristic required of a valet. So valet must have high-level working skills plus tact and diplomacy. So tact may be seen as the ability to know when to say something and when not to say something. It also means being able to say what needs to be said without giving offense, without making people feel uncomfortable or ignorant. So meaning sa tact is, kung Tagalog pa is, magaling makisama. So kanang dili ka makapasakit sa tao. So mao na ang personal characteristic, usa sa personal characteristic as a valet. And then diplomacy is the skill of applying tact to situations so the outcome is beneficial to the valet and their guest. And the two terms tact and diplomacy are commonly used together, so mag-uban dyan na ang tact of diplomacy. And then a person who is effective with tact is said to be tactful, and a person who applies tact very well is regarded as being diplomatic. We also have good manners, and good manners and etiquette go together, but they are not the same thing. Manners relates to showing respect for others, nakarespeto sa imong isig katao, demonstrating politeness, being refined and appropriate in all situations, and in practice it means knowing when to talk and when to be quiet, and giving way to guests, and remaining a respectful distance from guests in terms of physical distance and personal connection. So dili ka maging kanang feeling close ka sa imong guest ha, so dapat naamoy distansya, dili kay musikit ka ana magkanang feeling close naman jud mo ba, so naasad kay respeto sa imong guest. And we also have politeness. Being polite means applying necessary etiquette and good manners. It is closely aligned with showing respect, meaning making people feel at ease and creating an appropriate and refined atmosphere for the guests and their associates. So in practice of politeness, it means asking for permission to undertake tasks, saying please and thank you, knowing when to withdraw and leave guests alone, and when to maintain a presence. So you always say thank you to the guest and please. So like for example, you say thank you for choosing our hotel, for staying longer for our hotel, and please kanang example kanang mo leave na ka. So dapat kanang politeness is very important. Our characteristic being as a valet. So next is civility. So civility means acting in a civil manner. So civility is closely linked to manners and means avoiding anything that could be construed as rude, disrespectful, or intended to give distress or cause offense. And it may embrace adhering to a code of conduct and imposed by the venue in the regard to treatment of guests and others. So dapat imuhang attitude is civil ba, kung unsa man gani ang imuhang attitude sa inyo, so dili nimo dalon sa venue. So we also have honesty. So this is a basic requirement for all staff. Letter slides will provide more information on honesty as it applies to valet. So honesty gyud ang pinaka-importante sa characteristic as a valet or bisan asa. So diha man jud makita ang imong personality, tinuod nga personalidad kung ikaw honest ka. And then dedication. So dedication means being committed to your job and the guest and showing enthusiasm about what needs to be done. As a valet, trainees may sometimes find themselves in a position where being dedicated to a guest means they cannot be dedicated to what the venue requires them to do. So these situations require them to use personal judgment about what to do when making a decision about who or what takes priority in these situations, and they should consider the following. Always use common sense to assess in deciding what to do. Never do anything that is illegal or which places you in danger, and be prepared, if time allows, to speak guidance and counsel from more experienced and senior staff. So dapat dedicated ka sa imuhang trabaho, kay kung kanang committed ka sa imuhang trabaho, ang imuhang kanang imuha bitong kanang working kanang imuha bitong working flow sa imuhang trabaho is nindot, kay ngano makahatag ka og kanang masatisfy gid nimo ang paghatag sa imuhang serbisyo sa imong guest. So dapat dedicated ka sa imuhang trabaho. And additionally, maka-provide ka og good service, kay ngano kung imuha bitong hunahon nga love nimo ang imuhang trabaho, so mahatag nimo ang full kanang satisfaction sa guest nga kanang gusto nilang ma-feel. And last is willingness to be a genuine service. So all Vino staff should be willing to provide genuine service to all guests, but nowhere is this more important than with valet. So demonstrating willingness to be of genuine service means not only doing the right thing but doing it with the right attitude. For a valet, a willingness to be of genuine service is critical because they spend comparatively more time with guests than any other staff member. Valet are with their guests on a day-to-day basis and sometimes for many hours at a time, and guests rely on valet to a greater extent than they rely on most other staff. Valet are expected to undertake many duties on behalf of the guest that reflect the guest standing, image, and reputation, and guests may pay a premium to have the services of a valet, and generally speaking, valet must be paid for by the guest on an hourly or per stay basis, so guests are entitled to expect them to be genuinely committed to excellent levels of service delivery. Very often, this means being prepared to do a little bit extra to please or satisfy the guest. So, ang willingness gid sa imuhang kanang pagserbisyo sa mga guest is kanang dapat kanang dedicated jud siya ba, kay ngano kanang genuine gid siya, kay kanang gibayran baya ka og dako sa guest, then dapat satisfy sad gid ang ilahang makuha gikan nimo. So willingness of the work or task to do with your guests, so it is very important. And that's all for my topic, and have a good day.